Her Story, Our Story, 1 hour of power. It's an online free private group for women. There's a huge disconnect between what we go after and what we really want. Let's move forward. Join Her Story, Our Story, 1 hour of power. Do you sometimes feel unfulfilled and confused about your purpose? You don't have to go it alone. Come on over to the No Judgment Zone where you're going to connect with other like minded women from all over the world and receive support from others who have been through similar situations. Everyone has a story. What's your story? Seeking guest speakers. Do you have a story, talent, or ability that you would love to share? We invite you to be our guest. Hello and welcome to Her Story, Our Story. My name is Stephanie Wall. They call me Speaker Stephanie. I am the CEO and founder of Speaker Stephanie LLC and the founder of Her Story, Our Story, 1 hour of power, and the founder of 1 Million Lives Transformed, where we transform lives, relationships, and finances. The goal is for every woman, every person to transform their lives. I particularly super serve those women who've experienced trauma in their lives. Welcome to Her Story, Our Story. Remember, you belong here. You belong there. You belong everywhere. Be sure to shine your light. My name is Stephanie Wall, and I'm certainly getting it all. Come on in.
Hello everyone and welcome to Her Story, Our Story. My name is Hope Jackson, founder of Always Hope, and my purpose and goal is to help women to unlock what is hidden inside them. I know from experience that sometimes in life when you're going through dark times, you don't realize the purpose that you have inside of you. So my goal is to help you to find it and just to remind you that no matter what you go through in life, there is always hope.
Well, welcome to Her Story, Our Story, 1 hour of power. Dr. Stephanie Wall here. So y'all know that Hope, my co-host Hope is coming. She's coming. But you know what? Tonight, I'm super excited to bring Dr. Nealy. She and I have been talking and chatting, and we're not going to delay because I got so many questions and she has so many answers and so much good stuff. We need more than an hour. So I'm going to bring her up without further ado because I think that this is a perfect time. Instead of us doing this long introduction, it's supposed to jump right in and I can ask her the questions and you all get to get the juice out the gate. So coming to the stage is Dr. Angela Nealy. Woo! I know y'all can't wait. Come on.
Hi, how are you? How's it going?
Let me
Good evening from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Listen, home of the what? Because I feel like you're home of, because I know. Look, y'all, I know we're not home of the cold stuff, the former
Home of everything. No, the home of Madam C.J. Walker, the home of Hiram Rose Revels, the home of the 500. You name it, we're the home. We were the sports capital of the world. I can't say that we are, but we have hosted a Super Bowl, and we do have a professional football team, a professional soccer team, a hockey team, professional women's basketball team, professional men's basketball team. So we got a few things happening here.
Well, y'all got it going on. Look, as we want to be haters here in Maryland, y'all got a little something going on. Y'all got a little something.
I love Maryland, so I have a lot of classmates from Maryland, so I'm good.
But but now we can't. Indianapolis, there's Maryland, and then there's Indianapolis. Indianapolis has quite a history.
Yes.
Maryland, we got a little something. We got some things, right? We right here outside of Washington, D.C., all that kind of good stuff.
Baltimore, Maryland is my great-great-grandfather, Hiram Rose Revels. He did some studying there, did some work there in your city, Baltimore.
Wow. Listen, I want to, matter of fact, you mentioned something that's key, and I'm not going to let it slide. But listen, so I want you, because we must have you. There's going to be a couple questions I'm going to ask you. Is one of them, I don't know if you have a chance. Did you have your 5-word story or your 6-word story? And I'm going to give you an example because people's like, girl, what's my 5-word story? If you say, Stephanie, what is your 5-word story? Mine is help women, or 6 word story, help women to finally remove their masks, right?
Oh,
You
wow.
may just have these 5 words or these 6 words are the things that describe me. So I want you to think about that. Then I want you to also be ready to share something that's maybe either in your space or something that you tangible that you can show us that means a lot to you and why.
Okay.
I want you to be thinking about that. But I want you first to tell the listeners, because this is our introduction. I want you to tell people who you are and how you serve the world.
Okay. I'm an educator. God called me to be an educator. Oh, goodness gracious. When I was in my 20s, my father was an educator. My great great grandfather was an educator. So I'm a science educator. So I'm a science person. Biology, microbiology, chemistry, all those hard subjects that people struggle with. It's a natural for me. So my calling is really education, and it really also stems around health education. So 5 words. Wow. Health is your wealth. Health is your wealth now. So we'll use that. And then what's important to me? Well, behind me is a family wall there. And then on the other side there, above the bricks, is the rest of the family wall. And that is the most important piece of our story, because it takes you back and it takes you in and it helps define what your name is. And so I was adopted. And so my parents, they were born in Terre Haute. So Mrs., they're both deceased, Mrs. Betty Jean Bullard Nealy, and hers is your walk should be greater than your talk. And then my father, Donald George Nealy, also born in Terre Haute. His was your faith must be greater than your fear. So I often remember those 2 items when people come and bring the wrong energy. Okay. So they really wanted 3 things, which I still cherish. They wanted family, they wanted to have a healthy marriage, and they wanted to have children. So their first child was stillborn. So they adopted my sister and myself. My sister's named Jacqueline Lynn Nealy. So she was named after Jacqueline Boubet, the president's wife. I was the first adopted. So Angel. And so my mother thought I was an angel because she got an opportunity to adopt me. And I'll tell a little more about that story, what that means. But she decided on Angela, which means messenger from God. Joyce means, or she middle name Joyce, because they got to rejoice because I got to stay with them. And so Angela Joyce Nealy is my name. And Dr. Angela J. Nealy is the name I absolutely adore. However, when I was born, my father was African American, very much looked African American, and my biological mother was European. And that was taboo in Indiana. So when he did get married, he didn't marry my mother. He married another lady who they dated while they were in high school, and then they came to Indiana University, and they broke off for a little while, and I came along, and he went back with the person. And so anyway, they had to go to Michigan to get married because Black and white folk couldn't get married in Indiana. So here I am in the hospital being born about 3 days from the time that he's getting married to this other lady. And so my biological mother's scared to death. So she runs out of the hospital. So she signed in, but she didn't sign out. She ran out and just left me there. My parents, Betty Jean and Donald George, wanted children. Their first child was 1955, stillborn. I came along. I was available to be adopted. The person who did the adoption was an African American attorney who was a Fiskite, and I graduated from Fisk. And my father was at Meharry when this particular person, Robert G. Manny, since passed away. Roland Hayes was his uncle, the great tenor. Anyway, he was the one who conducted or completed, officiated, if you will, the adoption, myself and my sister. So it was a momentous time in my parents' household because that was a big deal. And the pictures you see behind me are pictures of us, but there's pictures of my parents. There's pictures of me when I was little, pictures of my grandmother, my great grandmother on the wall. And many people come to my home and they see those pictures. They wish that, they could have had access to something like that or kept that. So that's a strong part of who I am. An educator, a science educator was a gift because I didn't talk till I was 4, and I was terribly shy, I flunked kindergarten, struggled to read, first grade, second grade, third grade, had horrible health until I was almost 12. And actually, this is 50-year celebration from the time I participated in this soapbox derby. Do you know about the soapbox derby, Dr. Wall? Soapbox derby.
No, and as a matter of fact, wait a minute, because I'm sitting having a good time.
I
First of all, I love it.
probably was the only sister doing the soapbox derby.
Soapbox derby. Wait a minute. I saw it on the girl, but first of all, if you watch Fat Albert and the team, you know something about something, but that's about that.
It was well, it looked like that. It looked like that. So it's a big hill, right?
Yeah.
And a bunch of folk build these cars, mainly little boys, but my dad and I built the car, and she get in the car and go roam down the hill.
Oh yeah, that was straight up. So what I want to ask you this, because I love that you know what your name means.
Yeah.
I love this. Look,
know it.
Angela Joyce Nealy.
Yeah.
So Angel, but tell me what Joyce means again.
Joyce means
as in joy.
They rejoice that I could stay, and they rejoiced again when my sister came along because they got to keep us. Because back then, and historically, Indiana is very racist, and the KKK was a huge supporter of horrible things, lynchings, tons of lynchings in Indiana. The most famous lynching where the three gentlemen, two died, one lived, that was my cousin, in Marion, Indiana, where the white folks stood around and jeered while the black folk were being lynched. They had a party. That's why we don't like to use the word picnic, because it came from that. A picnic.
I did not know that.
Yeah, a picnic is where white folk would sit around and celebrate. We've lynched another, Oh yeah, absolutely. So
I'm gonna let that word go. I'm thinking.
Let picnic go. Yeah, let picnic go. We have
call it something. What do y'all call it?
Cookout. It's a
cookout. It's exactly what it is.
Time. It's a family time. So,
but I want you to tell me something.
Yes.
I'm looking. I know everybody else. I see my husband is on here. He's already welcome. And what is, because I'm looking behind you.
Yes.
Those jerseys, the shoe, the cleats, and there's a woman on the wall that looks like she's flipping. Is that you? Is that you?
That is not me. I wouldn't know. I swim, but not that well. In Indianapolis, we talked about the sports capital of the world, and we hosted the diving trials for the Olympics. That was done in 1988, and I've had that since 1988. The shoes are spikes from track. I ran track and field or run track and field as a master's athlete. I have since I was 31, 32, 30 years later, still be able to run. And being in such great shape, when they wanted to start the pro women's football team, I said, oh, what the heck? And my students, I said, should I do this? Oh, Miss Nealy, you're in such good shape. But then I was Miss Nealy, you're in such good shape. Yeah, you should. So I was running, I was practicing. I had just come back from the World Championships in Australia, and I wasn't happy with my performance. So I began to do a number of.
Ma'am.
What? Wait, which part?
World Champions, Australia, back up. Back this thing all the way up, because somebody said, who was it? What was she? Okay, let's get back to what World Cup? What was happening? What were you doing in Australia? What were you doing?
Well, in Australia, I was competing on the world team for the United States as a master's athlete. So there were probably 50 or 60 nations probably there. There's 80, 90 nations only at the Olympics. So this is the world. So all of them around the world. I also officiated at that meet. So when I wasn't running, I was officiating. So I officiated with the team. There were 4 of us on the team. They thought I was a Maori. A Maori is a black person from New Zealand. They don't like Maori.
What was a Maori?
And then Aborigines are from Australia. So they'll like, Anyway, so the team I was on, one lady was from New Zealand, one was from England, the guy was from Australia. I was from America. So it was interesting dynamics when they had to go to the loo, the restroom, the bathroom, everybody got confused. But so when I wasn't officiating, I was running. And so I was running the 100, the 200. I also pole vaulted. So that was a blast, vaulting. And we were there in the wintertime. So in July, it's winter there. So it's still green trees. There's no snow, but the daylight doesn't come till 8 a.m. And then it starts to get dark at 3 p.m. So we're practicing at night for the short time that we had daylight to run or to vault or whatever. But it was a blast for 2 weeks being there.
So wait a minute. So you over there, you are an Olympic athlete. Boom. And
Well,
you
even before that, in 96, when I tried out the Olympic trials, I was 34 going on 35, 35 going on 36 in 96 when I tried out the Olympic trials. I had just learned how to vault like the year or 2 years before. So I took adult gymnastics and I learned how to vault with the boys, the high school boys. they taught me how to vault. Yeah. And I took
so you tried out, it was pole vault. Come on through with the pole vault thing.
So I would have been, if I had made the team, I was flirting with 10 and 11 feet, which is kind of taller than us. And so all I had to do was make 11 feet, and I was trying, and I just didn't make it in the time frame that was due to go through the trial. So if I had, I would have been on the team with Stacy Dragila. Stacy Dragila had the little ponytail on top, and I eventually got to meet her because in 2004 I got to be an Olympic trials official, which is not easy to come by at all. So I got to escort her out because I was a marshal. Where's the cheap hat? And you get
Sarah is like, wait, what? Wow. I know I'm sitting there like, let me back up for 10 seconds. Let me tell you about Dr. Nealy. She is so unassuming. Let me just say that. Or should I say, or very humble. Because here is the deal. I mean, I'm sitting there like, let me just get on back over here with my doing nothing self. What? Okay. You know what? How about, she said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and try to learn how to do this. And not just going to learn how to do it, but then I'm going to go ahead and try out for that. What?
And I did it at the professional level. I did it at the professional level.
I'm not messing with you. And then, okay, let me back. Okay, so now you over there. You didn't already just set the stage. So you end up over there. Okay, so then you end up in your Australia.
I mean, so by 2001, I come to the World Championships in Australia, but I wasn't in the shape I needed to be in. But I had a sponsor, so I went anyway.
What were you? You were running track?
I was running track. Yeah, this was track and field. Yes. So I pole vaulted. I ran the 100. I ran the 200. So I just did 3 events because I was officiating too. So it was hard to officiate one day and then the next day run an event because when you run, for example, when you run the 100 and 200, you start out with the heats, 32 people in the heats. Then you got to make it out of the heats to the quarterfinals. Then you got to make it out of the quarterfinals to the semifinals. Then you got to make it out of the semifinals to the finals. So people don't understand. You don't just run the 100 in the final race. You have to run 3 times before that. And sometimes you get a day in between and sometimes you don't. I mean, sometimes, when you see on the Olympics, sometimes they're running, the semifinal and then they run the final that same day, 20, 30, 40, I don't know, hour later. That's a lot. But then you have to think about the training. You have to back out your training 16 weeks before you actually want to peak. And you can only peak for 2 or 3 weeks. So that's why when you watch the runners run and they run really, really fast, like the one lady who runs, she's 35 and she runs, a 10, she's trying to break FloJo's record and she runs a 1060, for a couple, 2 weeks. She's probably for 4 weeks because of her training is always in Jamaica. But, and then your time starts to slow down because you plan it that way. You can only peak for so long, but you have to practice for 16 weeks, what was that, 4 months to get to that level, to get to that peak. And you have to eat a diet like that all the time. So back then I would, out of 12 months out of the year, 11 months out of the year, I ate no pizza, no potatoes, no ice cream, just protein and green. And I would train twice a day.
I'm sitting there right now. Okay, and
I was in my 30s. I was in my 30s and 40s doing that. Not my 20s, my 30s and 40s. I used to run practice in my 30s. Say it again.
You're still working out. You're still.
I still work. Yeah, I still work. I still run. I don't run like that, but I guess compared to the average person, I'm probably still.
Oh, no, ma'am. Compared to the average person, you are amazing.
I'm still superhuman.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so wait a minute. If somebody look, yes, she does.
Because the people who know me, so behind me, what you see, those are my track spikes, yes. And they probably have records where I ran certain times. Like I got my time down when I first started running the 100. I was horrible. It was like 15 seconds. And I think I got it down to 11.8. and I was in my 30s. So it's, as a master's athlete, you're amazing. So behind me is my jersey playing football. Those are spikes, and they probably have records on them, probably autographed by different people. I'm sure they are. Gail Devers, I think, autographed those, and a series of others. And then below that is my practice jersey. So you got the practice jersey and you've got the playing jersey. That's football. So the track and field, I say this to say that track and field puts you in shape to do anything you want to do. So because I was in such great shape, I went and just casually tried out for this team, and I was able to run. I had been running 40s because I was displeased with my performance in Australia. So I ran a 4.440, 4.3 in practice, 4.4 in practice. So when it was time to run it for the tryouts, 4.6, 4.5, they made me run it 3 times. So I'm sure I ran a 4.6 and a 4.5 and a 4.4. And they're looking at me because I'm in my 40s running, running a 40 meter. It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. But it's the training, it's the diet. 4.4. That's combine time.
Okay. Anybody
and that's in my 40s. I was in my 40s, 41. So it's been 20 years since I ran that time. So now I've probably slowed down to if that's 4.4, I'm probably slowed down to 5.5, 5.6.
Good. That slowed down. I can't. So wait, hold on. So you played, you not only, you did the Olympics, you did all this, and then you played football. Yeah. You better go for the ladies.
Just for a year, with the ladies. And in that year, I tore. When I was trying out, I got hurt in the tryout because there was this big old guy who was the coach. I weighed 132, 135. I was a little tiny. I was the football sometimes during the game. And so he was blocking me. I don't know what he was thinking. And he's almost 300 pounds. And so I hurt my knee. So I ended up tearing my ACL slightly. But I had torn it before playing basketball. I was 28. So I went back to the same doctor, Dr. Daniel Droe. God bless him. He was such a good orthopedic. Anyway, so he tied it back up, put it back together. And so 30 days later, I was back out running again, almost as fast as before I had the surgery. So this is during the season. This is all during the season. And then I was blocking another lady who weighed 250 pounds. And I'm 135, just big. They're all big. They pick me up by my ankles and say, I don't know why people want to run like you. Because they're 6'4", 300, 400 pounds. And they're my defense people, right? Now these laugh, they think it's funny because my job is to run fast, take out the quarterback or take out the wideout because those people are pretty much, tall and slender or they're my height. So that my job was, they used to tell me, AJ, look, you just catch him and we'll kill him. I said, okay. So that was our agreement. Now they all were half my age. I was the oldest one on the team, and I think I was the oldest one in the draft. And the draft happened 20 years ago in Atlanta. So it's ironic that I come back to Atlanta and speak a couple times. But it was amazing. So we played in the Super Bowl. Super Bowl. We get better. Yeah, I know. Shut the door, right? We played in the Super Bowl. So in July of 2002, I'm getting drafted, right? And I went 20th in the second round. And then I'm on the team and playing with the teammates, and they put me on defense, and I do special teams where you put your little finger on the football and hold the football and all of that. Sometimes I said I was the football. And then we made it to the Super Bowl, which was in Birmingham, Alabama. It was absolutely cold that day, 38. What's new was really cold, but that was cold considering the South. We didn't win, but to say that we played in the Super Bowl, so a Super Bowl runner-up, I was just fortunate to be able to play the whole year. So I did get well after 2 surgeries, and I played in the Super Bowl. So it was absolutely amazing to be that old, I guess, if you will. So when they talk about Tom Brady being 45 or 6, I'm like, really? I didn't start playing until I was in my 40s. And he's been playing for the last 20 years. So, it's fascinating what you can do with your body when you eat right. And that's a whole nother conversation. We can talk about that too. But the sacrifices during the year, during track and field, paid off tremendously in terms of body recovering and working out twice a day. And so in the morning, I was a teacher at the time. So in the morning, I would lift weights. And in the evening, when the sun was less hot, I would go train with the teenagers and I'd run intervals with them. So what that means is you run repeats. So you'd run maybe 6 200s at a certain pace, or you'd run 400s at a certain pace. It just all depended what you were trying to do. And again, it's in that 4-month or 16-week period of training, and then you're trying to peak at a certain time. So it all goes there, and then the rest, the sleep, what we call restorative sleep, it happens. And then I also got a chance to train with other Olympians who were definitely half my age, and they were going to the Olympics, the 2000 Olympics, the 96 Olympics, and they were all my friends, and I trained with them, and I would what is called rabbit. So the rabbit is the person, if you watch the pro meets, the rabbit is the person they put out to run the first quarter of the 800 so that the right pace is set. Or the rabbit is the one they put out in the marathon to set up the right pace. So I would rabbit the younger folk when we would run repeat 200s or 400s. So they'd spot me by 50 or 60 meters. And the goal was to chase me down so that they outran me by the finish line. But anyway, that helped us all get in great shape. And you could tell who was in great shape and who wasn't. You could tell who ate a great diet and who did not. And the other side of it is I have asthma. So the average person breathes 100%, and I breathe 60% to 70% of what the average person breathes. So I still was keeping up with them. So it's like Jackie Joyner Kersey. She had asthma, but she made some amazing times, some amazing marks in between changing shoes 7 times every time she practiced. So it's an amazing, I know, I see the what, it's amazing, the behind the scenes kind of thing. So it doesn't really, how many languages? Oh, Dr. Allison wants to know how many languages I speak. Bonjour, monsieur, madame. Well, my first language is French, actually. And then I picked up English. And then I picked up Spanish. I picked up German, Chinese, Japanese, Mandarin, and Cantonese, but just the Mandarin Chinese. And then a little bit of salutations in Turkish and Arabic. So it just all depends on what it is. I know. Look at your mouth. You're like, oh my God. Bonjour, madame.
Wait a minute. All I got is bonjour. Oh my God. I'm waiting for my husband any minute to start up because he is going to be so excited to have somebody that speaks. Because that was his he minor in undergrad was French.
Oh,
and
wow.
He's like, every chance he gets, like, oh, come on, somebody talk French to me. Let me tell you, I've been sitting here like this entire time. You all, I know, listen, you can go ahead and shoot your questions, and I know you have them because I have tons of them. Right now, do you still teach, and do you train other athletes?
I don't teach like in the formal classroom like I once did. I retired in 2012, and so people constantly ask me to come and train. And I just got a call a couple of days ago to be a trainer for a major company that's evolving. So I don't train in a class. I don't teach in a classroom, but I train as people ask me to do. And I was doing a health and wellness call as Coach AJ. Coach AJ is really my brand, if you will, and it has been for a long time. So I did that for like 4 years on conference calls, webinars, and we would do, in person. I was a network marketer with 5 Links, and so I was a health and wellness expert. So I did a number of conversations with the sales rep and trained the sales force, and that's how I, met so many people. And trust me, I made millions. I'd open they call me the $1 million mouthpiece. I'd open my mouth, and people would buy products because I would explain everything. From the basic, molecule to what it does in your body, your kidneys are in the back of your body, not in the front, those kind of things.
Dr. Sabrina want to know, do you take supplements?
I take True Niagen, which is B3, which is niacin. So B3 is niacin, and it's coupled with nicotinamide riboside, which is found normally in milk products and cottage cheese. And together it's called Niagen, and it's age reversal. So if I don't look 60, it's because the supplement in my diet.
You don't look 60.
No. I still look 30. I may look like
I'm sitting here like, no, ma'am. 60 60 what?
60 what? Right.
And listen,
60 seconds.
Listen, and she is going to run circles around you, me, and everybody in here. Been in the room with her. Listen, been with, and when I meet somebody that matches my energy, I'm like, oh, you know what? You are my kind of people. She is there. 60. You all, I don't want to hear no excuses.
No shit. 60s and
the parent says, wait.
I don't, and so, I don't. Here's the things I don't do. I don't eat chicken, and all Black folks should not eat chicken.
Good. Why? Why we can't have no chicken?
No chicken. Get rid of chicken. Get rid of catfish.
Catfish? Wait a minute. Hold on. Let me get my whole pen out. No chicken and no catfish though.
No tomatoes. I haven't had pork or beef or soda pop. What you call soda pop, Coca-Cola, whatever that stuff is. Phosphoric acid.
No tomatoes though. Why not tomatoes? You gotta explain.
They're too acidic. They're too acidic and drive your, the pH of your blood out of this tight range that it is, 7.35, 7.45, which is considered alkaline, right? So a small change in the pH in your blood is major to your body. 0.001 is major, absolutely major. No popcorn. That's right. No popcorn.
Okay.
Because I eat from my blood type, and it really has worked for me. So I gave up the chicken like 8 years ago. I gave up pork and beef and soda pop. I was going to tell you 42 years ago. 42 years ago.
So what can we eat, man? What can you already told me what can I have?
All kinds of fishes. Just stay away. Well, that tilapia on the bottom too.
No, yeah, they said tilapia. Didn't that man-made?
No tilapia, no catfish. Try all the other fishes: cod, eel, shark, caviar.
Okay, you let me open the back up because I was feeling some kind of way for a minute there.
Yeah, $400 for a pair of shoes. You can spend $90 for a little can of caviar.
We're I'm gonna stay over here with some some flounder. But wait a minute, let me ask you this.
Yes.
What? Because right now, like I'm sitting there, like, how is it that I have not heard of Angela J. Nealy? I feel like you should have been all in my space because just the part of the story that I know right now would have been something. Let me tell you the one thing that is already you almost snatched my entire soul when you said this. After I'm listening and I'm writing down all these.
I snatched your entire soul. You want me to give it back to you?
No, I don't need you give it back. It ain't coming back. Got it. You have asthma. You did all of this with asthma. Do you know growing up, I failed PE in the 9th grade because it was all, she has asthma, sit her down in the corner, she can't do anything. I'm like, well, then what can I do? I had to I had to make them, I got to get back with, I'm not failing this. No, yes. Like I couldn't do anything because, the little pill, there was no inhalers. And so they were afraid to death that I was going to have an asthma attack and just die. So how did you survive?
I didn't discover I had asthma. I actually had an asthma attack at Girl Scout camp. And I was 12, 13. And back then again, right, there were no inhalers or anything. And I didn't know. So I was riding horses. I can't ride horses, can't be around hay. And I was they got me some water, and I don't know what happened, but I remember feeling like, oh, this is horrible, So I wasn't diagnosed with it till I was like 34, 35, exercise-induced asthma. So I had to change everything. So like right now in my condo, there is no carpet. There are no drapes. My shoes stay in the garage so that I don't bring anything in. My clothes get dropped off before I come in the house in the mudroom, if you calls it mudroom, so that all the allergens from the air don't attach themselves and come in my home. So those adjustments. And then you have to adjust to the foods. You really can't have a lot of ice cream because it creates mucus. So any mucus producing food, you have to get rid of. So when you do that, you lessen the need for meds. Now, there are some people who have it really, really bad, but I think that they have done some things. They've not changed their diet. They don't drink enough water. They have not changed their environment. They've not adjusted to some things they could do. So by changing, your environmental situation, by changing, your food, exercise, exercising regularly, you don't have to be an asthmatic and not function. I mean, Jackie Joanna Kersey clearly in the 80s, in the 80s and 90s, she clearly, did some amazing things as a heptathlete, and her records in the heptathlon still stand as she had asthma. So you learn to change your diet. You learn to find herbal teas that are not caffeinated. You learn to drink water. I try to drink 3 liters of water every day, 3 liters of water every day. just so many adjustments, but it's a lifestyle. And I'm not on any meds. I don't use an inhaler. I'm not on any meds. I did none of that. So, I don't eat, also, I cannot eat shellfish. So that also, the sulfur in shellfish is a bad thing as well. So, or sulfa drugs. So I don't eat shrimp. I don't eat crab. I loved them. I gave them up. I don't eat peanuts and I don't eat cashews, which are also mucus producing and also are bad for folk who have asthma. So I had to get rid of cashews. Had to get rid of peanuts, and getting rid of the chicken because of the bacteria in it, and the steroids and all of that. But by taking all that out, it made me even a better athlete, and just obviously I've decreased the aging as well. So it's not hard on your digestive system. And then intermittent fasting. There's so many things that we can do. We just have to make the decision to do it. So I've changed so many things.
I am sitting here like I
You
need
know,
to have a
drink a
whole
big water.
session. I'm sweating you right now. I'm like,
Drink water.
yes. So
Drive to drink water. Yes.
now I grew out of, if you will, the asthma. I mean, I really had it badly. I mean, I really did. I'm
Okay,
talking
you did.
go to the hospital, right?
Did you eat peanuts?
And then later on, like my children, that one had it and one didn't have it, and then and all this, but they grew up. One didn't get it till like exercise induced, and then many relatives who didn't have it later on found they had it exercise induced. But look, there we go. There's my husband.
Don't you listen ever to? Oh, very good. Okay.
I knew it was coming.
Now, mind you, I spoke French when I was a kid, and so I don't get a chance to speak it. I don't speak it like I did when I was a kid. So, but I recognize when someone is speaking French, and I can I can recognize many of the words, and I can read it, but it's not as, I mean,
Well,
I'm
you
well
did
aware
better
of
than me,
it.
because it would have been
Yeah.
looking like just alphabet soup to me up in there. So you did good.
No, I can.
And
No, I
listen,
can.
and
Yeah.
folks always ask him like how we'll be married for 25 years actually next on the 24th of October, and folks always say, how in the world did you get Stephanie? He tells her, well, I wrote her a love letter in French, and on the back of the letter he transcribed it in English.
J'ai amore, mademoiselle. Yeah.
I was like, woo! That's what happened. Bonjour. Oh God, I'll say it. I'm gonna do better. But let me tell you this. What if somebody is, and you are Googleable, right?
Yes.
What is something that we always get asked this question? I'm sure you get asked it a lot. When we're no longer here, because we all have an expiration date. What is something that you wish, that you hope that most people remember you for? What is the one thing, if not more than one?
I would say down to earthness. Being down to earth, answering your questions. If you ask me to do something, I normally don't say no. I'll normally find a way to fulfill your request. As an educator, when I was in the classroom, the students would ask me, I taught high school, and when they would ask me, Miss Nealy, would you come to my band concert? And I'd make time to go to the band concert. Would you come to my football game? I go to the football game. Would you come to my volleyball game? I go to the volleyball game. And I'd make sure when the game was over, when the concert was over, when the event was over, that I'd go and see them. Hey, how are you? But that meant the world to that person. So even now, as an elder in the community, when young, because everybody's younger than me, when young folk ask me to do something, I make it a point to try and appear or show up or read about it or do something or respond. If they want to interview me, do the interview, or want to put me in a magazine or not put me in a magazine. This is all come about in my 60s, the magazine. I just want y'all to know that, the interviews. And you ask me, why have you not known about me before? And I will tell you that Mari Evans, if you all know who Mari Evans is, Mari, Mari Evans, EVANS. When you come to the Indianapolis airport and you come and you're getting ready to leave to go out, there is a mural of her, and it is an electronic reel. So it's constantly running, and it's talking about when she came to Indianapolis and how long she was here. She lived to be almost like 97. When I met her, she was 67 and I was 27. And we remained friends for the next 30 some odd years. And so in so doing, she once told me, Angela, you fly under the radar. So I'm just going to tell you, I fly under the radar. So the thing I want people to remember most is that when somebody asks you, especially younger than you, to do something, listen to them. Do it for them. Ask them, respond. And especially, especially if they've asked you in a respectful way. Now, some people don't know how to approach you. And so you have to educate them on how that sounds and how that looks and give them a second chance. As my father would always say, give them different chances, but not too many. So I would say that you remember that I was kind to you and that I listened to you and that I didn't judge you and that I hopefully brought the best out in you because I found you in you and then you developed you after that. So a large part of that too is knowing her story and his story and being able to tell it and being able to tell someone else's story. You should be able to tell, if you're really close to somebody, you should be able to tell their story and not miss a beat, to me.
Let me tell you something. Let me just say this. I want you guys to know it's important for me to share this with you because as you were speaking, I was like, man. So I met Dr. Nealy, Angela J. Nealy, when I'm going to be saying the whole name from now on. It's your whole government.
You got the whole name now. You're serious, you got the whole name.
I flew into Atlanta. So for my graduation, for my honorary doctorate through Trinity International University. And, we're nervous. We're trying to figure out we got our doggone stuff on properly. And there's this woman who's running, this little woman who is running. Her stuff is popping. She got her stuff on properly. I'm thinking, how did she get that on? With somebody tell me something. I'm waiting. I'm tall. I'm in the back of the line. I'm the W. And I'm waiting. And she's going around and she's walking up. And so everybody, Dr. Nealy. I was like, Dr. Nealy. Like, I wrote that was Dr. Nealy. And Dr. Nealy was helping everybody. So I said, Dr. Nealy, could you help me? She looked right at me and she made sure she got clear what my name was. What was your name? And I said, Stephanie Wall. And she replied back, Dr. Wall. We're going to do this. And then I'm going to show you how. And she would not, and I kept saying, I'm like, she kept referring to me, Dr. Wall. She wanted me to be in that moment. Let me back up. You ever have somebody that makes sure that you own it? And I hope you all be that person one day for somebody that when they realize you haven't owned something that you earned, something that is yours, and they're trying to help you get there and get there quickly because we don't need no time. We don't want you to feel. Don't be standing over here in this lane. We should be over here. I want you to. She all but said, "Look me in my eyes, Dr. Wall."
I would have got on a step stool, but
you understand me? By the time she got finished with me, I was just so proud, and I had owned it. And I was then turning to everybody else like, and this is my exact words. Anybody can help me. And I was like, well, Dr. Nealy just showed me how to do it. I had to make a whole announcement, that she showed me. And this is the thing. Everybody I bet you if everybody was there on the day, all the other doctors, they're going to tell you the same story. Dr. Nealy did this for me. Dr. Nealy did that for me. And it was just awe-inspiring. So then listen, she set the stage. So when the call came out, the next group were coming through. They were like, hey, anybody, wasn't like we expect, is anybody willing to come into town? Dr. Nealy said, you said just if you're gonna be, right? I got there, I looked, she was making it happen. It was a natural reaction just to fall in line.
Mm-hmm.
Fall in line. She set the stage. She's showing you how to do it, but you never once felt like you didn't belong in that space. And this is what comes natural to you. Yes. I can see it's not what you do. It's not like this title. It's who you are.
Right.
Every bit of who you are. Nobody will forget that about you. Nope. Ever. If they meet you and they're around you for 5 minutes, you are going to ooze into their whole being. You're like, Dr. Nealy is like my Mrs. Teleferio. I'm still telling a story about my 7th grade teacher because not what she did, but how she made me feel when I was around her. So I want you to remember that. I want to give you those flowers. I want you to remember that because that is what I'm going to always remember about you. Absolutely. So, honey, the chat is blowing up. So
well, let's respond to the beloved's request.
Beloved, she said, why is French your first language?
Because the school I went to called St. Richard's, and there's a picture of me in my uniform, but it's in the other room. Yeah, the other room. I pointed right, the other room. And so the school is called St. Richard's. It was created by the Episcopalians that came over from England in 1960, and they chose Indianapolis for whatever reason. And so myself and a series of other individuals, black and white, who came from means, they had money, helped start this school. Some people say integrated. No, we didn't integrate nothing. We helped start the school because our money helped start the school. We weren't on scholarship. Daddy's wrote check, mommy's wrote check, and we helped start the school. Well, we wore green blazers and all that kind of stuff. And so one of the requirements was to speak French during the day. And I was 4 when I started the school, horribly shy. And so we had to speak French and speak French during the whole school day. My French teacher was Madame Wall, W-A-U-G-H, ironically, Madame Wall. She was a little taller than me, from France. She was from France. The art teacher, Miss Paget, was from Australia. I think we had a Spanish teacher later on who was from Spain. All of the teachers, though, were young British. So that's all we heard with the British accent. So we were so polite that if we bumped into a table, we said, "Excuse me." I laugh about that now, but it was so true. And so they all lived in a home, an older home on the campus of the school. So the school has since been renovated. And it's an amazing place. And it goes up to 8th grade now. Went up to 6th grade when I was there. I stayed kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade. My sister went there as well. She learned French first, then she learned English. She was a couple years, she's about 3 years behind me. So she didn't get a chance to spend as much time speaking the French first. So when we would do prayers at the table, my dad would drive my dad nuts at dinner time because I'd do the prayer in French, drove him nuts. Just speak English. So I originally spoke English, but not very often. But French was required. So, French came first and then the English came because I started school so young and because they allowed us to start school young. And even though I struggled with the reading and all of that, I had a gift for math and science. So I could do math in my head. I still do it in my head. You could do it without a calculator. We did it before calculators. So it was natural that I was going to go into the sciences. Becoming an educator came later in my life, but it was in my 40-year plan. So getting the honorary doctorate was a part of the 40-year plan. For those who don't know that, it was part of the 40-year plan. It just so happened that it was an honorary versus working on my doctorate, which I did, but I ran out of money. So the French and the private schools started the academic life and the diverse life because, again, there were Black and white folk who were going to school, but the schools weren't desegregated. That's the other part I think you should know. The schools were not desegregated in Indianapolis in the 60s when I was in school. It was still very much a separate kind of craziness going on. And they were going through the process. And so it changed. What's my favorite topic? Chemistry. So it changed the way things happen. So us having the opportunity to go to a private school with people who didn't look like us because they were Black and white folk and went to school together at St. Richard's and kids from all around the world. So it was unique and it was good. And the teachers were fair. I do remember that. I remember them being fair to us. They weren't like when I went to public school, and that was a whole nother story. So it was an amazing experience. St. Richard's is still in place. Actually, one of my clients, his daughter, she's 10 now. She goes to that school, so she's my little classmate, which is really cool. But it was a great school experience, and we stayed as long as we could until my sister, as she got older and I was getting older, and my grandmother lived with us, so we had to start going to public school, which was fine. I had no problems with public school because we were able to be successful and I was able to go on to college and master's and do doctoral studies. So it was a fabulous education, but being exposed to the languages early, so we did French and then got into middle school, finished elementary school at another school, Crooked Creek here in Indianapolis, and another school called West Lane. So I took Latin and then later on picked up Spanish throughout the lifetime of the academic from K through 12. And then when I got to college, majored in chemistry and chemical engineering. So chemistry in the day, chemical engineering at Vanderbilt in the afternoon. Anyway, I had to learn German. So in order to get my chemistry degree, I had to learn German because many of the periodicals and much of the research, the Germans were leading it. And there's the other part of that story about what some Germans were doing during World War II. But in any case, so German had to come along. And as I began to officiate while I was a master's athlete, I got to officiate at world championships while competing at world championships. So I had to know other languages other than the ones I knew in order to do the salutations to speak to the athletes, because there are I don't like that word, but there are many things you can't do as an official with athletes. Like you can't point at them and you can't wave at them. You can't, none of those things can you do because it's offensive. So you have to go over to the athlete. Well, when you go over to the athlete, you have to be able to speak in their language in order to explain something to them. So you try to learn the top 10 languages as much as you can so you can have a conversation. And that's it. And because I started languages so young and doing music, I started playing the violin at 11. Because I started doing those things so young, it opened the door for me to be able to do so many different things. So the first sport was ballet and soccer, and then French, and then the music, and we learned classical music. So I was classically trained as well. So when it was time to learn new languages, it was much easier than somebody who had learned none at all. So if I can tell you anything, you should make sure your little ones, like I have great nieces, and they're 1.5 and 5.5. And so I speak French to them, and I speak German to them, and Spanish to them, and so that they hear it. And we hope that their mothers, my nieces, will make sure that they learn languages. I have a nephew coming along, great nephew coming along. He'll be born in December. But we hope that language will be introduced as openly as it was when we were a child. Because my parents didn't speak any of those languages, but they wanted something better for us. And because my father was an educator, my mother was a librarian. She learned the science of library science. Books were a big deal in our house, and I have a library over that way. and it's a big deal. It's probably one of the most cherished things in my home. It is the most cherished, next to my Bible. It's the most cherished thing in my home. So people should be reading, and you should be reading books.
Listen, ma'am. So
that sounds like another.
I'm like, ma'am.
Okay. But you know who's going to write the great book and help me write the great book is Dr. Sabrina.
Well, because my next question right now is, I sure hope it is already in the work.
It is. She's going to tell the whole. She can really. I'm telling you this part, but she's really going to write it and bring it to life on the pages. That's not really my forte, but that's her forte, and so we've made a great connection. And so she's really going to do well with the children's book, and she'll when that comes, we've got some other things planned, but she'll write a really great. A really great piece. She'll do do it total justice. I mean, I'm telling you, but she'll be able to really put it together and really, it'll be a bestseller. I really believe it will be. Yeah.
Yes, it will.
And the goal is, when you write books, people write books. I don't know why people write books. I know why we're writing books. And that is to tell our story. So people, and I always tell my students, and I'm telling my nieces this, and my nephews and my great nieces, I need you to do better than me. Because my father told me, he said, I want to live long enough to see you make more money than me. I want you to do better than me. So that's what I've told my students. And so another part of the conversation is I've had like 10, 12, they've been popping like popcorn actually recently, get their doctorates where they've written dissertations and they have their own schools. And it's just amazing. It's amazing to be in their life 30 some years later and to watch them grow from being 12 and 15 to being 45 and having children and creating their own schools and getting their doctorates. And it's just amazing to be, just to see the full circle of it. And the other part of it is being an African-American educator. And the story is going to be written about our story instead of, always heard about European folk. But what about us? What about African-American educators? What do we do? What have we brought? And so that's another important piece. I look at my father and how he was a dental school professor, and he was the first African-American to be sophomore technique, which is the second year of dental school. And so he was the first African-American at the IU School of Dentistry to have that position to be a department chair. There are other African-American professors that were there who taught, but I think he really was the first one to be a department chair, which is highly unusual. So I only followed really in his footsteps. And my mother, being the librarian that she was, she helped many nurses and doctors become nurses and doctors who probably wouldn't have. And my father helped dentists to be dentists, and so my mother helped nurses and doctors. So, it was just a natural progression for us. My sister earned her master's a year or so ago in education. She's now become an educator. So it's a big deal. It's a real big deal to pass it on and to be able to tell somebody's story and to be able to tell it well and to encourage and continue to push people to do better than what you did. So I really want my students, and they're making more money than me. They own homes. Like everything I told them I needed them to do. I need you to finish your education. Don't listen to folk talking about money. money will come. You'll find the money. If you're smart enough, the money will be available. There are people who want to give money to make sure folk are educated and to own your own business. Maybe you have to be older. You have to be 30, 31. You settle down, own your own home. I never tell people not to buy a home. Own your own home, pay off your cars, start your own business. Start with somebody you trust. Being in business is about being in business with somebody you trust. Integrity is everything. If they can't be, you can't do, then do the business yourself. I mean, I'm a business owner. I'm a plant artist. I taught botany, so I made it into a business. And an African-American woman who's an optometrist here, Dr. Kimberly Darling Forners, I always sing her praises. HBCU grad. She helped me get started in business, and she's on my board. I'm a C Corp. So I encourage people, to do all those things. It's not obviously impossible, and they can do it even better now. But you've got to be able to meet people too. You've got to be able to talk to people and invite them in and encourage them and let them be free to have artistic freedom, as artists say. So,
well, wait a minute. Oh my God, I can listen. Let me tell you something right now. You and I, we've been not getting the same room again. But they're gonna be like, "What, Dr. Nibbler? I'm going to bed. I'm going to bed." I'm like, "Well, wait a minute. One more question." But wait.
Whatever you need.
So let me ask you this: because you mentioned your business, I want you to tell them about your business, about the plant whispering. I need you to talk about that.
Okay. So what I do is, I've been in business 10 years this year, thank God. And what happens is when somebody says, "I don't know what to do with my yard," so I take your what and make it wow. And so you talk to the plants and I whisper to them. And I turn it around because I have the balance of the science and the botany and the biology. I know how to take the soil that's depleted of nutrients and put the nutrients back, and then from there grow whatever it is you think you want to grow, and you're willing to take care of. If you're not willing to take care of it, you don't need it. It's like adopting kids and don't really want them and don't take care of them. So you decide you decide that you want to have a better looking perimeter. That's what I do. And then I teach you how to maintain it. So I'm a plant artist. So plant artists, really what we do, you see a mess, we see an amazing work of art. And so over a period of months or a period of seasons, we rebuild and put it back together. So I've built many gardens, many perimeters. And I even started with my own patio. I redid that myself, and we love it. It's pretty amazing. And the outer perimeter, I've rebuilt all of that from 23 years ago when I first moved in here. And I've got slate on the patio, and because I know how to work with stone, and I've put different variations of species out. I've got a little pine tree out there, and I've got the snake plant, and so I've got annuals and perennials. But being a plant artist, you have to be able to care for things, and you have to be able to see it as you wanted to see it. But you have to listen to the client. You have to get to know their story. You can't build anything for them unless you know their story, their favorite colors, their favorite foods. So it's been a blast being able to do it. It was natural to be able to do it. I learned much of it actually from my mother, and then I was able to do the actual book work and the micro level of it, the microscopic level of the botany, which is what botany is. It's the microscopic level. It's not the above ground, it's the below ground part, and all of that. And it's amazing what you can do. It's amazing what you can create. So I've got clients that have been with me since the business started. Others, I've had one that's passed away. That was hard. And I have another client that moved away. But most once I do one piece, I continue to stay. They stay with me season after season after season. So it's been a huge blessing being able to do that. Somebody said they need low maintenance plants. Succulents. That's what you need. You need succulents. I have some succulents.
What's a succulents? Because I'm waiting for my husband to say something so wrong, because I kill cactuses. Okay, I got fake plants around here because I don't know what's going on. You're gonna fix me. I know this. Right now, I'm already kicking myself because you probably said no. You're not killing plants. I cannot. I don't know what's going on here.
How often did you water the cacti?
Too much, apparently. I think
Did you water every week? Did you water every week? Every day?
It said I gave it too much water.
Probably. So you just like, I have 2 cacti right now in my home. They love being here. So we're I rotate the container every 2 or 3 days. I mist them. So I put like a misting, like you mist your skin to keep your skin vibrant. So you just mist them. But watering the soil, well, first of all, you get the right dry, arid soil content. That's the first thing. You don't use regular soil, use arid, more acidic, meaning less than 6 on the pH scale, 6.54. And they have it. They have it in the store in the bags. This is for cacti. This is for succulents, and you use that soil. Yeah. You
So
don't
what
use
you're
regular.
saying is I need to ask some doggone questions. Don't just go in there and just pick up something. Somebody said I can kill an ivy. Dr.
Well,
Barbara.
ivies are, ivies are very. They are dependent upon clean air in the house, and they need water, and they need to be fertilized. So, you have to fertilize once a month. Does Evelyn was jar back out? I don't know. Get back to
Oh,
school.
look at
Okay.
you.
Cheers. Aw. Yep.
You just
So
what?
you have to fertilize once a month, and then you can do, if you're outdoors, I can vitamins. You can do that once a week. It just all depends if it's indoor or outdoor. So my 2 indoor plants, I fertilize them once a month. They're succulents. I mist them so they stay, reasonably moist. I don't overwater them, and I water the succulents, the soil, probably every couple of weeks.
Y'all. I know y'all sitting up just like me. Because listen. So how can? Because can you? Are you a? Somebody said that's why I do they die. What? No, okay, that's why they. Yes, I'm learning too. I was watering. I should have been misting. Number
Did you
one.
talk? Did you talk? Do you talk to your plants?
Ooh, I
If
don't
you
talk.
married, you talk to your husband. You got to talk to your plants.
I talk to your plants. I'm learning. I'm
Well,
learning.
carbon dioxide comes from you to the plant. The plant releases oxygen back to you. It's a, reciprocal, that science word, reciprocal relationship. So if you talk to them on a regular basis, they respond, not react.
Just have a whole talk. Like, come on, Mr. Plant. It's okay.
Yeah. And then I've got some sunlight that comes through, and we just keep it going. And it's the right energy. Everybody can't come to your house. Some folk come to your house and your plants die. Well, that should tell you something. They can't
And the
come
people
back.
Somebody said, and that's reason number 2. But wait a minute. Okay, so y'all know we're gonna go up because I got questions and she got answers. Okay, so now, but I got me a card, so I know what to do. All right, so now how can one? Because I know somebody gonna ask it, so you have to go ahead and put it in the chat right now. Put it in the private chat so I can put it up here because they're gonna want to know how to reach you. In addition to the website that's going at the bottom, y'all, right here at the bottom.
I'm gonna do 2 things. You can have my phone number 317
Wait a minute, 317.
I know I gotta get a Google number. I'll get a Google number at some point.
Okay, yes. Please don't have the people ringing off your personal line.
Okay, well then we won't give them the phone number.
Okay,
but when you Google me, I mean, I come up all over the place. So you can send me messages on IG, Facebook. I respond to those. IG, Facebook, Twitter. I mean, if you Google this, it'll tell you. Yeah, I'm very.
Don't worry, y'all. I'm gonna put it in. I'll put it all in the chat for the different groups. We'll put in. So you can listen. We'll put it in there. You'll find her on social media, and then you can go from there. Just go crazy. Yeah. But I'm telling you right now.
Social media. I'm very active on social media. I try not to overdo it. Yes, plants need love too. That's right. They need love too.
And let me tell you, I'm honestly. So you are by trade, by nature, by trade, by training, by all that. You're an educator. Mm-hmm. You're an athlete. You're the doggone plant whisperer, for crying out loud. I love that.
Yes.
I mean, wait a minute. You are philanthropic. Yep. You're just a whole lot.
And I play the violin.
First of all, I wrote down here, and I literally wrote, and the violin. Wait a minute. Did you say ballet as well?
I did. Yeah, ballet. Ballet was my first sport.
You just want me to sit over here and feel like I did. I mean, really, y'all. I mean, I'm the only one that feels like I must have done nothing.
Look, there's still time.
Yeah. Oh, yes, it can. Because listen, let's just recap this real quick. You all, this is for those of you that came in late to Her Story, Our Story. This has been one of the most amazing interviews that I have had. Hope I see my co-chair. She must be working. She was the one talking about the plants need love. So she is here online. She said, doggone, she ain't gonna miss it. Somebody is trying to. And no, Sabrina, you're not gonna come on here. She's gonna interview her. Look, she said, nope, I am with you. So this is it. This, first of all, Dr. Angela, look, AJ Nealy said that she's really, like, although she's done a whole lot of things in her younger years, she really jumped into the 30s and 40s is when she did grown stuff. But the rest of us like, oh, they usually young people. No. She played football. First of all, tried out and made the football team.
Got drafted.
Football drafted 40.
If you want
What's your
to
excuse?
football, I'll autograph it for you and send it back if you want.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, I need to send me all my stuff. And wait a minute. In the Olympics, running people, 30s. She got one of my. Somebody said she got one of the most important parts of her story. Oh yeah, she got it. But let me tell you this: we often feel that it's too late. Like, I mean, how many people do you know? I know you hear it all the time. Oh, I'm already in. As people in the 20s. No, ma'am. First of all, I know y'all don't want to believe that she said 60. And the Supreme put all her business out here talking about 60 plus. But let me tell you this here. One, if I didn't tell you, you'd be like, who? I know y'all saying right now, who's 60? Which I know y'all feeling. If you weren't already on here, you know now. If you have a popcorn, let go of that chicken, leave that catfish alone. What else we say? That soda pop gotta go. What else?
Pork, beef.
Oh, look, not the pork.
Let
the pork go too.
Peanuts, cashews. Yeah. But they're not good for us. I mean, if we have asthma, the eosinophils in our blood doesn't respond. So we can't have oily nuts. We can have nuts. We can have, pistachio.
Or milk.
Milk. Anything that produces mucus.
Okay. So wait a minute. So your book, because we know the children's book is coming, but then your autobiography, is that coming or is that already here? What are we gonna do?
It's coming. It's coming. It's a 3-part. Dr. Allison will be a huge part of that, and that's all we'll say. And
okay.
Title. We have titles, but she and I know the titles. So the covers probably, I know what that looks like too. So yeah, they're all coming.
So I'm telling y'all right now, because I know y'all are dying like me. So we'll just go ahead and create the.
I do have an audio book. I do have an audio book now, that an anthology I did with 12 other people, and my part is 20 minutes, and it tells my health journey. And just to tell you, when I did that, I did it as a video with no notes, no script, and I just spoke it for 12 minutes, and we turned it into a book.
How can we get a copy of that?
Well, you can Zelly me $25 with your email, and then I will email you the download, because it's from a small publishing company called Angie B Productions. So I did it with 12 other individuals, and so it's a real small production, but she's really good publishing company. Sorry, and so it's upon us, to market it. But yeah.
So we don't want to put your Zelly on here.
No. So you would. So I you can email me, AngelaJNealy@gmail.com, and go from there, or communicate with me via, social media.
So can you go in here and put your email in just in a chat in here, and I'll put it up so everybody can see it.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, put it over here.
Yep. Okay. And then let me tell you. So all, this has been juicy. If you we like to give people their flowers while they are here to read them and receive them. So look, as my dear mentor Trevor I says, let me get your breakouts, your takeaways. Look, all those good things. So what is it that you got from this? What is the one thing that just blew you away tonight that you've heard already? I've got many, but I'd like to hear from you all. What was your takeaway? What was one of your takeaways? Let me paste this in here. Oh, wait a minute. Of course, I'm putting it in the wrong place. I know they typing away. They probably said, "Doggone, I'm trying to type on the cell phones." And I'm sorry, y'all. I feel you. So while you all are writing, give me one. So So before we go up, I want to know what. And I know that my girl, Tara and Hope are right now probably just typing away. But what is it that you want to share with Dr. Nealy before we let her go for the evening? Now look, somebody already wrote, it's never too early or too late to do anything.
That's right.
Amen. That for sure is one. I'm going to keep putting this up, you guys. That for sure is one of the things. But I'm going to tell you, everything you told me blew me away. My mouth was open the whole time.
I kind of figured it was. That's why you let me have the whole screen to myself, because you needed to know.
I couldn't. I was like, listen.
You'll really be blown away by the food bill. I spend $600 to $800 a month on food.
60 what?
$600 to $800 a month on food, because I eat like a queen at every meal. Every meal, I eat like a queen.
So now I'm sitting up here. I'm trying not to be hating on you right now. So hold on now.
It's okay. You can be okay.
You say that you eat. So you eat.
I eat. I cook. I cook meals. And when we get off, I'm going to go cook a meal. So a meal. So we'd be like eating at a 5-star every meal. You know how much 5 stars are? 5-star meals are what, 100?
The real deal.
Yeah, the real deal. Yeah.
What? So you love. So hold on. You speak how many languages again?
I think it's 7.
7.
5 to 7.
7. Look. My wife is about to shoot her. Listen.
Hikli Budu, Ziamare.
Let me say this. You speak 7 languages. You are amazing. You're real. You really are really real and down to earth, because you could be somewhere up in the clouds, but you're not. And you cook. Lord Jesus. Now, I'm about to sign
When y'all come to Indianapolis, you and Dr. Allison and everybody.
You know I'm coming right up. Baby, I'm coming and carrying on. Like I'm letting you been before.
And when you get to my house, don't expect paper cups and plastic and all that nonsense. We're eating on china, a tablecloth that's been in my family by 100 years, crystal glass.
What? Let me get let me see. According to my husband, I make reservations. Baby, all I need is an airline ticket. Are you in a car? Got car and we'll drive. Wow.
Yeah.
So let me tell you this. Where did you, and I think I already know the answer, because I can just hear from you when you describe your parents, the tree.
They were saying
apple. If you are the apple, I mean, you are like I'm sitting there like, all right, I'm ready to send this whole video to my sons. I need y'all to be, when people hear y'all talk.
Let me get you, hold on. Let me have a picture of them. Hold on.
Please.
Yeah. So these are people that adopted us.
Oh my goodness! Wait a minute. I'm gonna pick on a back.
You see it? That's the 2 people that adopted us. So Dad met my mom across the dance hall, because my grandparents ran the boarding house for the Black soldiers during World War I and II. And Robert George Nealy was a pastor of the AME Church on 3rd Street in Terre Haute. So that's Mom and Dad.
Girl, wow. Wait a minute. And a pastor. Oh, you was
a pastor. Yeah, he was a pastor. And so they were business owners, because they owned the boarding house. And my great-great-grandfather, so that would have been his great-grandfather, started the church. Hiram Rhodes Revelle started the AME Church in Terre Haute in the 1800s.
Is anybody listen? So when is the women's conference in Indianapolis? I feel like I need to.
I don't know. I think y'all need to plan one.
Yeah, I think y'all need to plan one. I think you need to plan one. I'm pretty sure we all be coming to town.
Yeah.
I mean, one for no other reason than one. It's absolutely important that we have these real conversations in person and pouring into each other.
Yeah. And Madam C.J. Walker Building is in Indianapolis and holds conferences. Yeah. And Madam C.J. Walker's great-granddaughter, Leah Bundles, she went to North Central High School, so did I. And so her grandmother, her great-grandmother, and my great-grandfather knew each other. So we've been contemporaries off and on. She's about 9 years ahead of me, but so now we're talking 200 years of people knowing one another in a direct, indirect way.
Madam C.J. Walker.
So did you buy the doll? I hope you bought the doll. That's a plug for her doll.
Yes. Beth, speak of the doll. Because you know what? Please tell them about the doll and where they can. Do you know more? Can you give more? Can you share?
You can. I know you can get it from Mattel, but realistically, I just ordered mine. You can Amazon may be sold out, but I just got mine from Walmart. I just ordered from Walmart and it came. I ordered a few for my great nieces.
Dr. Sabrina, is that you saying that I will be interviewing her and you have yours? I am sure that is my dear good girlfriend. I I know that is her. Well, listen. Well, first of all, no, it better not be, because when you got one, I know good and well you got two. Because no, but no, this has been amazing, and I thank you so much for your yes.
Absolutely.
I
Thank you for
thank
inviting me.
you.
I really
Listen, I'm going to bring you back, but more importantly,
Absolutely.
I'm going to have to come there. I'm going to have to come there and
Yeah, absolutely.
I have got to come there and look. I say maybe the next time we interview, we'll be in live and in living color.
Yes.
And in the room, it'll be pure comedy. They'll be like, Lord, they're having too much fun. Everybody gonna want to be there.
Yes.
Don't let you bring up that China. I'll be like, y'all.
The
I'm like,
China's
I'm out and everything.
forever. Yeah.
Oh, look, she said she didn't even she
I
wanted
didn't tell the good stuff.
We're gonna save some stuff for the book.
Read it in the book.
All of
Yeah,
it.
read it in the book.
Listen, for those of you that have just found out about Dr. A.J. Nealy, and she can tell you how you can get on her schedule and find out if her availability. But I would imagine she should be not on everybody's magazine, but everybody's couch, as we like to say, everybody's television screen, everybody's everything, because this is our history.
A hidden figure. No more.
Hidden in plain sight.
Right. No more. No more hidden.
Listen, Sabrina, you're gonna put all that in the book. So wait a minute. Now,
Oh,
Sabrina,
she's the one. She's the one been chosen, I believe, by God to do it.
I believe
I really believe that.
I agree.
Yeah, because it's difficult to trust. It's difficult to trust individuals with your work and their ability to write. And so when you can trust and you find the right person to work with, that's what you do. You know, sometimes it takes a while to find that person. Sometimes you just have to wait. And I think sometimes we don't know how to be patient and wait. And we don't know how to say no. Sometimes you have to say no to some folks. You can't say yes to everybody. Everybody can't come to your house. I think I said that.
You better say it. They're
Everybody
gonna kill the plants. They're gonna kill the plants first of all, because you that bad mold.
And that's gonna be okay.
Somebody said we laugh more than we work. Sabrina said that, but Dr. Orlando Barber said she needs you on her show. See that right there?
Mm-hmm.
Do the reach out, doctor.
We make all the ratings go up on everybody's show.
You're gonna be like, I had it, and we're just gonna be following you. It'd be like, go get the rest of the story on the other shows.
Wait, you gonna like this picture? Hold on.
You guys show, give it to me.
You gonna like this picture? Who's this?
Wait a minute, hold on. You know I'm going.
Who's that? Oh, am I turning it right? Yeah. Who's that with me? Just
stick a fork in me. That's a lady king.
Hold on. I got another one for you. Who's that?
Is that Oprah? Oh, wait! Oh my God! Listen, I thought it was Michelle Obama first too, but there wasn't. It was Viola, the woman king. Yes. Let me tell you something. This is what I'm talking about.
That's a whole other story. By all of that is a whole other hour show by itself.
How do you know? But this is the thing. Now you know these individuals, but do they know you? Do they know your story? Like
those two do not.
No way.
Those two
they
do
sure,
not. No,
not
it. But some of the other individuals, yeah, and that, like I said, this is a whole other story. It's a whole show by itself.
You see, now we got to have a whole nother show. We got to have
I didn't even mention any of that.
We got to have a whole nother show, but we got topics after topics. So what we're going to do, Nikki Giovanni, Lord, you know Nikki Giovanni?
Yes.
Is there no one? As the church say, the door of the church is wide open.
Let me see this. Wide open.
When is your children's book going to be available for purchase?
Dr. Allison can answer that question. Because she's in charge. Dr. Allison, Dr. Sabrina T. Allison, that is her project. I'm just
Hope said, go ahead and get her back on the calendar. Don't worry, Hope, I got it. I got Dr. Angela J. I got her. Wait a minute, Tara said, I'm coming back for that show.
Yeah, she's in charge of all of that. So, yeah. She's keeping it close to the vest. We'll let her. She's in charge of all of that. So we just know that it exists.
Yes.
And
okay. We're gonna do it. So this is what we're gonna do. Because I gotta see now that y'all done found out about Dr. AJ Nealy. Now I'm about to be fighting to get her back on my goddamn schedule.
No, we can set a date now. And
yes, that's it. Oh, look,
we can set
so
a date
Sabrina's,
now, and I'll commit. You know, I'll commit. You already know I'll commit. You know,
but
I'll
listen, tell you
rearrange
what,
my
your
schedule.
book is coming out on Black Friday.
Is that what she
So
said?
wait a minute. Let me get
Whatever
my
she
schedule.
said is what we're doing. Whatever she said is what we're doing.
I got you. Let's look. Let me pop my little calendar out. They said don't never be scared. Look, ask and you shall receive. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wait a minute. What is the Wednesday before? Is that Christmas? Is that Christmas?
Christmas is Christmas is on a. Is it on a Sunday this year? Was it on a Saturday last year? Is it a Sunday this
25th,
year?
25th. So Black.
Hold on. What? Oh! You talking about Black Friday?
Oh, you know what? Okay, wait a minute. When's Thanksgiving? That's 23rd.
Let's see here. Find a calendar and tell you.
I know. Y'all, somebody tell me when Thanksgiving is. Oh, wait a minute.
Is it the 20? So is it the 24th of November? So is the 25th? It should be Black Friday. Is that Friday, right? Yeah.
Yep. So 24th. Okay, so the 23rd, which is the day before. Now, are you gonna be out of town?
No, at night, my health insurance is paid with FedEx, so I cannot travel from the first Monday of the week of Thanksgiving until the 23rd, 24th of December. So I'm in town.
Okay, so you are
I'll be available.
So the 23rd, the day before Thanksgiving, you coming back on. Let's do it. Yeah. Oh,
and then I'll tell you about this.
Yes. We don't want to know all of that.
This.
And I'm dying to know about that. So you're gonna tell us about that. You're gonna tell us about that, and you're gonna talk about your book. So because it's gonna the
whatever
next day.
Dr. Allison says about the book is what we'll be allowed to do.
Well, yes, but Dr. Look, and we'll eat. Send us everything we need so that we can showcase that. So that day it's on and Papa, you want to get your pre-orders anyway. So there you go.
Yep.
All right. So as per usual, you are going to close this out. Give us our final word before we close it all the way out. So I'm gonna jump off and you give the final thoughts. What would you tell the woman or the person that is watching right now who have already decided, well, yeah, she's awesome, but it's too late for me?
It's not too late. It's not too late. Find your passion, follow your passion, do what you love first. The money will come. That's what I've always done. And definitely believe in yourself. And I know Dr. Allison always tells me, don't shrink yourself, so I can hear her voice. But don't shrink yourself, Live out your purpose. God has the first word and God has the last word. And you were put here for a very specific reason. So you must take care of your health. It's your temple. And you must surround yourself with the right people. Doesn't have to be 10 people, it could be 2. But you need to love yourself and really spend time understanding what that means and how that works, and definitely learn the meaning of your name and be able to tell it well. And don't live just for money. Create a life and include others in it. So Dr. Wall, I hope that helps close out the story and bring folk back.
That was more than enough to bring up the story. Again, I thank you for your yes, and you have heard it here. And it is me and Hope and Dr. Sabrina like to say that is the benediction. There's nothing else needs to be said. So we're gonna see you back here to hear from Dr. AJ Nealy again on November the 23rd, Wednesday, November the 23rd, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right back here. You guys have been amazing. Good night. Good night.
Good night.